Mabuhay and welcome back to Cooking with Mark and Oreo. Oreo's here ready to go. He's ready, very excited today. Today we're going to cook another Filipino dish called bistek. In a previous video I showed you how to make chicken adobo, Filipino style. And now I'm going to show you how to make bistek. And I have my Filipino shirt here. I went to the Philippines 4 or 5 years ago with my partner. We went to Manila and visited Palawan. And so I'm wearing that for my trip to Club Paradise. In honor of making bistek today. So we're going to start with our sauce. I'm going to do a cup of lemon juice. Filipinos use Kalamansi, but living in New York, I can't find that. So I'm using regular lemon juice. So a cup of that. A cup of soy sauce. But I am using Filipino soy sauce. And then also I'm going to do 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. And let's use my fingers in there. My hands are clean, don't worry. and then I'm just gonna give that a little whisk to blend those amazing flavors. And there we go. And then I have some top sirloin beef. And I'm gonna cut them into about a little, maybe a 1/4 inch strips. And I'm gonna put it in the sauce, and you want to marinate the sauce for about a ½ hour. And I'm going to throw some salt and pepper on it as well. So that's about as thick as you want it. And I'm doing about 2 pounds of beef. All right, so here's your finished meat. Ready to go in the marinade. You're just going to sprinkle it generously with some salt and pepper before you put it in the sauce. And then you can massage the salt and pepper in the meat. And again, you want to marinate it for at least a ½ hour before you cook it. I'm going to marinate it for about at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, because the longer you marinate it, the more flavor the beef is going to absorb. So I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I get all these pieces in here. And then you can just massage the meat so it gets some of the sauce in. And I'll wear half the sauce too, because I always spill it on myself. You can see little spots on my shirt. Oreo's already loving the smell, huh, Oreo? Doesn't that smell good? Don't worry, you can have some later. I'm gonna just throw a cover on that. And again, I'm gonna throw it in the fridge for about at least an hour. And now I'm gonna prep the onions though for later, because you're gonna, a big part of this dish is onions. We're gonna cook with a lot of onions later. So I'm gonna just prep those so they're done for me for later. The onions that you're gonna cook, you're gonna pan fry later, you want rings. So you wanna cut them that they're like here, but you don't have to separate the rings because we're gonna separate them later in the pan. As you can see, I'm putting rings all over the place. So I'm gonna use 3 large onions. You can use as many as you want. Again, you wanna cut them in rings. You don't have to separate them now. You can, because it's really fun to separate them. They end up all over the place. But again, you're gonna want about 3 large white onions for this dish. All right, now I'm done cutting my onions. It looks like a lot of onions, but they will shrink down. And it's gonna give that beef like an amazing flavor. I'm just gonna throw a cover on it because I'm not gonna throw it in the fridge because in about an hour we're gonna cook it anyways. But I wanna keep little critters out, keep Oreo out. So I'll see you back in here in about an hour so we can cook up this amazing Filipino bistek. All right, see you in an hour. Hi, welcome back. It's been about almost 2 hours actually that I've been marinating that meat, so it's gonna be amazing. But we're gonna start with cooking our onions first, so those are ready first. Oreo's super excited today. This is the most energy he's had for any recipe, so he must really like Filipino cooking. So I have 4 tablespoons of canola oil, already heated in a pan. So I'm gonna add all these onions. It looks like a lot, but it'll be worth it in the end. And you're gonna stir fry these onions until they are translucent. And then you wanna cook them until they're like a little brown on the edges. So it's gonna cook for that amount of onions, I'd probably say about 10 to 15 minutes. You wanna constantly stir it because you don't want them to burn, but you want it to have like a nice little char on it and translucent so they're nice and soft. All right, so I'm gonna stir fry that for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then when that's done, we'll cook the beef. Hi guys, I've been over here and I probably smell like onions, but the onions are about done. And we're gonna take them and transfer them to another pot, the same pot that we used to put the onions earlier, because we're gonna use the same pan to cook the beef in, because we want that onion flavor in the pan. So I'm gonna use tongs and take the onions out. And as you can see, I didn't, we'll cover those to keep them warm. I'm gonna add about another 2 tablespoons of canola oil to the pan. And now I'm gonna get our beef out of the fridge. And now I'm going to put the beef in the pan. And I'm going to add the sauce to this in a little while, but you want to brown the beef first until it's brown on both sides. So you'll probably do that for about 5 to 7 minutes, maybe a little less depending how thick pieces you cut. So I'm going to brown this, and then once it's brown, then I'm going to add the sauce to it. So you can flip it every few minutes, but again, about 5 to 7 minutes to brown the meat. All right, and then we'll add the sauce to it. All right, now that the beef is brown, you don't want to overcook it. So I'm gonna just transfer it to this plate because there's still a couple more steps. And now this part's pretty fast. I'm just gonna add the rest of the marinade to the marinade that's in there. We're gonna turn our burner up to high, and you want to give it, you want to boil that sauce because again there was some raw meat in there, so you want to make sure that's cooked and there's no salmonella. You don't want anyone to get sick, but you want all that amazing flavor to pour over the beef. So once that boils, give it a stir. You can give it a taste. Make sure you don't need to add salt and pepper to it. And then we're going to add it to our beef and then top it with some onions. So it's been rolling boil for about 2 or 3 minutes. So I definitely know it's safe to eat. I'm going to try it. It's pretty good. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. A little more black pepper. Perfect now. A little bit of salt and pepper is a perfect touch. Now we're gonna bring it over. Pour it right over our meat. And I recommend if you're cooking this for guests not to try it and then dip the spoon back in the pan. I'm only doing it because it's just for me and my husband, and I might give Oreo a bite. And now we're gonna top it with cooked onions right on top. And this is Filipino bistek. I'm gonna actually whip up some Filipino garlic fried rice to go with this, which you can find in my previous video for chicken adobo if you wanna learn how to make the rice. I'm gonna make that while this cools, and then I'll try it for you guys and let you know how it tastes. Voila, that's our plated Filipino bistek with some Filipino garlic fried rice. That's how I like to serve it. I'll add more sauce later because I'm gonna get down and messy with this dish. You won't see that on camera, that's for sure. So I'm gonna take a little bite of the steak, get a little onion. Beautiful. Right, Oreo? The onions have the perfect crispness, but soft at the same time. And the flavor's amazing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell. Make sure you show us some love. Like the video, comment, let us know what you think. Thank Oreo, my assistant. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.